last trip of the holiday season to see the holiday magic. We are blessed that a few months after we moved back to Southern California, Jon surprised me for my birthday, for Harlow's birthday, with passes, season passes, now called Magic Key, for Disneyland, for the lowest range end of Disneyland, which is still expensive.
Amazing. It is still expensive.
And at that time, we only had to pay for me and Jon because the two kids were under the age of 3. And since we first purchased the passes in 2022, they've changed the blackout dates in the calendar. So a little bit of a bummer there, but we're still super grateful we get to go during the holiday season.
Still a great return on investment. It's amazing.
We pay for the monthly option, so it's something we budget for, and we use our credit card rewards basically to pay for it. Yeah. And anyways, the sunrise is gorgeous.
Sunrise is amazing.
So we are super excited for our last Disneyland trip of 2023, and it's going to be holiday magic.
Now, let's talk about the rules of Disneyland. There are people out there that are like, I'm not a Disney person. That's cool. And there are people out there that are like, I love Disney. That's cool. I think that, just like anything else, it's how you do it. Okay? It's how you do it. Okay? When we go to Disneyland, you don't just blindly show up, right? And some people think that going to Disneyland with a plan means we're going to do this. It's the opposite. It's 100% the opposite. The plan is about self-preservation, not about what you're getting done. Okay? You need to show up like you're going to war. Okay? You show up, you have rations, you show up rested. Okay? You show up early. If you don't have the element of surprise, if it has the element of surprise on you, you're probably not going to win. You need the element of surprise on it. Okay? You show up, you're early, you're the first one there, you attack. Go right through the door. Okay? It takes less energy. This is all about energy efficiency. Okay? And if you are on the upper hand, then you're never going to feel like you're losing. Right? So you're the first one through the door. Right? You drove down there early, so there's no traffic. Right? There's zero resistance so far. First hour or two, really short lines. Boom, boom, boom. You already got so many rides done without any effort, right? Without any traffic. The lines were to get in the park were short. You're not bumping and grinding with people trying to get places. You're not First couple hours, you're like, I already got everything I wanted to do. Like I'm already ready to sit down for a minute, right? The rest of the day is your oyster, right? You can go to, if you have a hotel that night, leave early, go take a little nap in the middle of the afternoon. Take a nap, sit in the jacuzzi around 3, You're like, do we want to go watch the fireworks tonight? I mean, the kids slept. They're in a good mood again, right? Plus, we're able to eat our own food back at the hotel. We're not paying all this money for unhealthy food, even though Disneyland, I think, does have good, healthy options now. They've upped their game. But the bottom line is, you see what I'm getting at here. You bring your own snacks. Bring PB&Js. Coffee up early, right? Don't sit in that Starbucks line inside Disneyland. It's worse than the lines for the rides. Okay?
Unless you need water.
They have water stations now, right? Bring your own cups.
Right, they have water stations, or if instead of paying for the $6 bottled water,
don't do that.
Go get your $6 coffee.
Don't do that.
And your free cup of water at Starbucks.
And here's my next conversation, which we'll get into another one here about medicating yourself. But a lot of people like to hype up drinking at Disneyland. Like, oh, they finally got booze, blah, blah, blah. Don't get me wrong, I do appreciate a drink just as much as the next person. But alcohol's a depressant, right? Why are you going to put a depressant in your system when you're at war, okay? You need stimulants, okay? You need to stay up, okay? This is the time to get more energy into your system, not less. Don't take energy out of the system when you're in the heat of battle, okay? Keep energy in. Unless you're like within an hour of the finish line. You're like, we are out of here. Okay? Cool. That's whatever. But it just doesn't make sense to me to put the brakes on the system when you still got 20 miles to run. Okay, that's how you do Disneyland.
So we are not pro anything like expert, pro professionals with Disneyland in any sense of means. We don't know when certain food is there and parades and the rides and rope drop. Like we don't know any of that. When we first started going to Disneyland, we would actually not leave until about 11 and drive down when the kids were napping, and we do like afternoon, evening Disneyland. And it wasn't until I don't know when we started to try to go, leaving our house by 5 a.m. in Ventura to make the 90-mile drive, whatever it is, 100-mile drive to Anaheim Disneyland, and avoid traffic as much as possible through Los Angeles. And, either way we do it, as parents, we're tired. Either way, the kids are tired because in the morning, if we wake them up to drive and get in the car, they are awake for a little bit before they fall back asleep. And if we go in the evening, they got a good car nap, but we're typically keeping them up a little bit later to be able to do a show or whatever. So either way, we're tired, but it's totally worth it. Like, the magic of Disney through the eyes of a parent is something that it's one of the many things that I've added to my list for being a parent. Like, I never knew. I was always that person that said, I'm never taking my kid to Disneyland until they can walk and not complain. Nope, I totally take my kids to Disneyland and they don't always walk and they complain. So it just is what it is. And John and I still love it. The joy we get out of it for ourselves as our inner child, and then seeing our children, the lens of looking through the magic of Disneyland through their eyes is just beyond imagination. And getting there early is very challenging, but it makes it so much more worth it because we've never done Genie Plus, we've never done Lightning Lane, we've never paid for that. So this is very different than people who are paying for that, but we haven't done it, we haven't felt the need, and we don't want to budget for that. So
maybe we will when the kids get older. They understand things more, they want the bigger rides more often. But we're still in the phase where at any moment we can just go sit in that little theater.
Yeah.
There's no line and there's no time. Our kids are very satisfied.
Yeah.
To sit there and we're still at that phase, So maybe things will change.
And we've driven down the 2 hours each way and only gone on 1 or 2 rides, and then enjoyed other aspects of the Disneyland magic.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that having the Magic Key annual pass allows us the enjoyment factor to be able to slow down and not feel like it's our one time in 20 years to ever go and take our kids. And the amount of money that we pay for our passes is basically 2 days of tickets. And we go
three times a month, probably at least an average of 2-3 times a month.
Well, and like I said, we have more restrictions with the blackout days for the calendar, but I think I would say that we go probably 15 times a year. I'll try to remember to count, but that's a lot for some, for comparing to maybe 2 or 3 days throughout the year, which is still a lot to be able to go to Disney in 2 or 3 days.
So let me break it down here, right? Numbers. How much are 2 passes? It's $400 a pass.
It's $450.
Okay. So you're $900 into the game. The way we look at it is, by choosing to be Disney people, we're choosing to get rid of one vacation a year. And going on a trip or vacation, $1,000, I think everyone could be like, yeah, a trip or vacation usually ends up costing about $1,000, if not more, right? Depending on the size of the vacation. A nice weekend is $1,000. So we write that off in our yearly budget, right? Boom, Disneyland tickets. Now, every trip we go on, it's about $20, $30 for gas, probably less, I'm rounding up. $20 for parking,
It's like 30 now.
30, so we're at $50. And then you never know really what's coming on the other side of that. So round up, let's say each trip is $100, right? Because sometimes you'll get a churro, sometimes you won't. But we show up with sandwiches and drinks, and we do our best to not do any food, right?
Well, the first 6 months we had the pass, we didn't spend $1 inside the park.
Yeah.
We were very diligent about navigating that.
Yeah. It's about the experience. And for us, it's like trying to be frugal in what sounds like a very expensive environment is food. Food that we choose to put in our body helps us stay in a good mood, helps us feel better, helps us enjoy the experience more. We don't want to, right now at this phase, have the experience be the food. We want it to be literally everything else. And our kids really don't know if we're purchasing and bringing home things yet. So stay away from that, because that's the return on the money spent really isn't there.
Yeah, and we have every now and then gotten treats and eaten there a few times, but in the 2.5, almost 2.5 years now we've had the pass, it's been very limited.
Yeah. So let's say each trip's $100 conservatively. I'm sure we've gotten out of there for $50 total a handful of times, if not a lot. But $100 conservatively. If you go out to happy hour nowadays, that's $100. So for young parents listening to this, or future parents, would you be willing to trade 1-2 hour happy hour for a whole day at Disneyland with your family? When most people across the country don't have this beautiful, one of the most beautiful, amazing parks that's so detailed and thought out, and your kids enjoy it, even adults can enjoy it. It's one of the most magical places on earth. It's called that for a reason, right? Happy hour sushi, most magical place on earth in this 10-year span where your kids are all magical and they love you and all that stuff. Like, you got this one window in your life. Happy hour sushi. Like, I'm going to happy hour sushi the rest of my life as soon as they're out of this age, right? There's going to be years of that. Years of me be like, what are we doing today? I don't know. Let's go for a walk. We'll clean the house a little bit. I'll read a book, and then let's hit happy hour and probably go to bed around 7, right? There's going to be years of that, maybe even decades. So right now, happy hour sushi, Disney with kids.
And it's just all like trade-offs. It's one of those things where you can have it all, but not all at once. So, I'm trading my sushi happy hour this week for Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
And we budget pretty much to only eat out once a week also. So it's just a super special phase of life to be able to have. And, we left about 15 minutes later than we like.
And it affects us.
We're sitting in a little slowdown right now.
We would have made it all the way to Disneyland without a single slowdown. Before 7 a.m. by leaving at 5 a.m. But because we left at 5:20, now we're gonna have to sit in 20 minutes of traffic. It's a science.
But it takes a lot of effort and planning leading up to it. So we pack, the kids each have their own backpack with all their things individual. John and I have a bag. Mm-hmm. All the food prep that we go, through. We bring extra water bottles and changes of clothes when it gets colder at night, and car clothes to toothbrushes, and we have a system.
It's how I
still forget something every time.
It's how you do anything. Anyone who's been camping, it's like, okay, if you show up camping Like, oh, we're gonna go camping, and you bring like, you don't look at the weather, right? You randomly show up at the park, like this is how you do it, right? You have maybe a tent, right? That's gonna suck because you don't have the provisions you need. You're gonna be freezing cold. You didn't bring entertainment for yourself. How do we eat? Where do we shower? Like that camping experience sucked. Versus we're gonna go camping, and you talk to someone who's been to that exact park before. You talk to the person who hosts it. You pick a good spot the right time of year. You check the weather first. You bring the right clothes for that weather. You bring things to start a fire. Like all these little accoutrements. It takes effort, and you show up and you're like, okay, this experience was nice, as opposed to being like, oh man, I just got out of the wilderness, and that was the worst 3 day vacation of my life. I got bit by a zillion bugs because I didn't bring bug spray. I didn't know, right?
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
So this also, I don't know, we had our passes for almost a year, and another friend introduced me to a Facebook group. And so now, I'll check on there occasionally to see what like tips and different things that people um, might recommend. And yesterday, I was reading it last night, and someone had said that they tried compression socks for the first time. And so I am trying that today. So I will report back on a new strategy technique of wearing compression socks and see how that does.
I like it.
And that's it for me for this edition of Disneyland. Until the next time.
So the next time.